the one thing I do want to touch on this stream too is you, like when you were talking about like the gaming stuff that popped off, the NFTs, looking at pandas, like you've had a real high conviction of pandas as of, well, as do I to an extent, because the one thing I've learned is like you do not ever bet against IceBagz. That
Yeah.
dude delivers. I don't care what it is, it's going to deliver. And like I 100% agree, never bet against that guy. Especially I had John Jones dancing with a panda shirt on my homepage on Twitter. I was like, I'll be damned, this is
Yeah.
the goat of fighting, dancing as like crazy. But the one thing I wanted to say is, before looking at like really new projects, what is like your go-to like vetting process of trying to figure out if you're interested or not? Because I've seen you talk about stuff that like you're playing with and looking at and vetting, and then like it's really obscure, and then like a year later it's blown up and it's people now know it. But I'm curious, like, is there a process you go through that?
It's literally things that make sense to me. Dude,
you have to trust your gut.
I didn't have any NFTs before the pandas. Okay.
There you go.
To your point, IceBagz is a real business guy who has a real business experience, has been around the block outside of crypto, and is capable of building things. That was the one thing, right? The other thing was I've never understood the utility of some of the early NFTs and the prices they got to, and the market caps they got to. So when I started to look at what the pandas were, the next thing becomes, to your point, or to what I said about it makes sense to me, is if it makes sense to me and I'm looking at it from a normie standpoint, there's likely a higher probability of adoption, which is going to grow the valuation because there'll be more people participating in that ecosystem, right? So
absolutely,
Luca and the Penguins, the guy bought the project for like, I don't know, $2 million. It was like a $2 million valuation or something like that from Cole or whatever. And those things sat at a pretty low floor price for a while because there didn't seem like there was really any vision for the project. It was just another one of those NFT projects that like cute should go up. Or I also don't know the history, but Luca was known for bringing to market like the #1 selling toy, which was the Gel Blaster. So here you are, you take this guy and you're like, well, this guy's capable of bringing a toy to market. So is he going to do that with the Penguins, and how is he going to do that? All right, now they're in Walmart, and there's like a digital component when you buy the thing, and that, you know, is essentially you can change the traits and on the, or add things, which is funny because the pandas were really first to a lot of things that NFTs are trying to implement. Again, that was another part of the thesis. Having the NFT and being able to change it, and looking at how younger generations like look at Fortnite and Roblox and digital skins, and Bags and I clearly saw eye to eye on this because a lot of that inspiration came from his kids and that stuff because he saw that's what they were doing. So again, longer term view, what makes sense, what's the trend? Younger people are becoming more accustomed to just looking at life through a digital lens, and they value that stuff. Cool. Pandas now have the ability to change essentially the skins, the assets. Some of those assets are going to then be made into real things. We started to see that already with some of the Nike shoes and the NFTs. So it's like, you know, the writing is on the wall for some of these things. But the real utility for me with the pandas was that you could use points, right? You now had a points system that could be redeemed for things in the real world. So you're now, your approach is almost that you're going normie first and crypto second, and that I had not seen before. And I looked at it as almost like a credit card reward. It's like point system, right? Owning pandas is yielding you actual things. Like you can go to a raffle on the PP decks. Also, the marketing and everything was hilarious, and people, I was like, oh, this could go, this is just creative. So yeah, it started off and my thesis evolved into like, a lot of different things, and I had no idea that they were going to be so focused on like UFC. Okay, well, you're just now going into growth markets. Like combat sports is a growth market, right? It's a huge audience, and so get the biggest fighters rocking pandas at some of these things. Like you're inevitably going to start to get more interest from marketing to a new audience that might not be in crypto.
To those who don't know, when he's saying like the best fighters, like Bag's got the greatest martial artist of all time to rock pandas. Like that's and like I'm huge. I'm completely agreeing with a bunch of what you said. The normie first, crypto second. I hadn't even thought of that, but that makes complete sense. You're right about the growth market. Like there's only two sports I watch, and I religiously watch UFC and motocross. That's it. And
Yep.
absolutely love USC. So like I started flipping out when I started seeing like the pandas moving into mixed martial art competitions. And then
Yeah,
also
I
like
don't watch any of that stuff, and I was like, all right, like this is this is real. This is like running a real business. And then they launch an apparel line and a podcast. Dude, that stuff
yes,
makes a lot of money. So
yes,
you
yes.
start to actually look at what is the NFT project worth? Are NFT projects going to start to raise money? And you can look at floor price and come up with like potential valuation on what it could be, right? So that's really like how I looked into pandas, and that's the only NFT project I really actually owned on ETH. Minus near NFTs, I lost a lot of money on during that
Yeah.
run.
Well,
But
the other thing is the vibe.
yeah,
I've never run into a panda PFP guy who's not just chill and badass. Like I always tell people, like number one rule in the Discord is good vibes only. Like you
yeah.
pissing matches and stuff like that. Like we're not doing that. And the panda dudes are always been badass. And even this year, we've had a lot of the actual panda mods pick up rainbow trends. So it's like I'm watching the panda Discord because they occasionally
Well,
tag
there's
me
a
on some
lot
of
of
the rainbow
cross
theory
promoting.
charts.
Yeah, there's a lot of cross promoting. I think spaces were a big part of it too.
Oh yeah, I
And
love the spaces where you had IceBagz come on. He's absolutely hilarious.
the
He
guy's
doesn't care.
hilarious. Yeah, he doesn't care. And we got Jared Gray rocking pandas, and then like
I got to
they
get me a rainbow one of these days.
an honorary.
I don't know if I've looked a few times looking for a rainbow one, but I'll take a look again. Look up honorary.
Yeah, so it's these are long-term plays. If you think about when they came out, the price of ETH, and then how they've appreciated in value from floor price and where ETH is, like having some patience and watching things play out. Like it's hard to do in crypto, but it's actually how you make the most money.